The music doesn't fade. It snaps. 1 second, the ballroom is alive with laughter and soft notes from a piano. And the next, it is dead quiet. Like someone cut the air itself. Every head turns at once. Every breath stops. The wealthy woman is already standing, her heels sharp against the marble floor. Her posture tall, her face set like a door that has decided not to open. Her eyes don't scan the room. They don't wander. They lock onto one person at the edge of the dance floor. A black cleaning lady with a mop in her hands and a bucket by her feet. Frozen like she has been caught in the wrong dream. The chandelier above glow like stars trapped in glass, casting soft light over silk gowns and shiny shoes. The room smells like perfume and expensive wine and power, but in that moment, none of it matters. All that exists is the space between the wealthy woman and the cleaning lady. The woman's voice slices through the whispers that start to rise. "You shouldn't be here," she says. Her words are calm. Too calm, leave. Forks hang in the air. A glass trembles in someone's hand. A young waiter near the wall swallows so hard you can almost hear it. The cleaning lady's fingers tighten around the handle of the mop. Her knuckles pale, her arms stiff, her hands don't shake from fear. They shake from something older, something heavier. Memories that sit in her chest like stones. She lowers her eyes, just for a second, because she knows that look, she's seen it before. In offices? In hallways? In rooms where people decide who belongs and who doesn't, without ever asking a name. She feels the weight of 100 stares, press into her back, into her shoulders, into her spine. The wealthy woman crosses her arms, her lips tight, her chin raised. This is her ballroom, her night, her rules. A man in a dark suit, security, takes a step forward. The soft sound of his shoes on the floor is louder than thunder. The music from the band dies completely, the last note hanging in the air like a question no one wants to answer. The cleaning lady breathes in slowly. It's not a big breath. It's not dramatic. It's quiet and deep, like she is reaching down into a place no one can see and pulling up whatever strength is left there. Her name is Evelyn. Though no one in this room knows it, to them, she is just the woman with the mop. The woman who cleans up after the party ends. The woman who moves through the shadows so others can shine. She has been working since the sun was barely up, scrubbing floors, emptying bins, wiping away the small messes left by people who never notice the hands that fix things. Tonight was supposed to be just another night. In and out, quiet, invisible, but something small in her pocket brushes against her fingers as she shifts her weight. A worn edge, a smooth surface. She knows exactly what it is without looking. She knows the feel of it like she knows the lines in her own palm. Her heart thumps once hard. Then again, the wealthy woman clears her throat. "I don't like repeating myself," she says, loud enough for the room to hear. Her voice carries the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. This is a private event. Evelyn lifts her eyes. Not all the way, just enough to see the woman's face. The perfect hair. The necklace that catches the light. The calm, sharp look of someone who believes the world will always make room for her. Evelyn's lips part, but no sound comes out. Her throat feels tight, like there is a hand around it. A guest near the front leans toward another and whispers, "This is awkward." Someone else laughs. A quick, nervous sound that dies as soon as it's born. The band members look at their instruments, pretending to be very interested in their strings and keys. The waiter by the wall shifts his weight, his eyes moving between Evelyn and the wealthy woman, like he's watching a match where he already knows who is supposed to win. Security takes another step closer. Evelyn can see the shine of the man's badge, the way his hand hovers near his belt, not threatening, just ready to move her along, ready to erase her from the picture. Her mind drifts, just for a heartbeat, to a different time. A different room, a stage with bright lights that made her squint, a microphone in her hand, people clapping, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. The memory flickers and almost fades, like an old film reel. She swallows. The sound is loud in her own ears. "I'm sorry," she finally says, her voice low, barely more than air. "I didn't mean to interrupt." The wealthy woman exhales through her nose, like she's been patient long enough. "Then don't," she replies. The words land like a door slamming shut. Evelyn feels heat rise in her face. Not anger, not yet. It's something closer to shame, mixed with something that refuses to go quiet. She looks down at the floor, at the shine she put there with her own hands. She can see her reflection in it, bent and small, mop in hand. For a moment, it feels like that's all she is. A reflection, a blur. But then her fingers brush her pocket again. The small, worn thing presses back, solid and real. It's like it's reminding her that she is more than this moment, more than this room, more than the way these people see her. She straightened, just a little. Enough that the mop is no longer leaning against her shoulder, like a weight. Enough that her back doesn't feel like it's folding in on itself. The wealthy woman notices. Her eyes narrow, just a fraction. Is there a problem? She asks. Evelyn opens her mouth. The room leans in without even knowing it. The air feels thick, heavy, like before a storm when the sky turns dark, but the rain hasn't started yet. Evelyn begins, then stops. The words aren't ready. Her heart is beating too fast. She can hear it in her ears, like footsteps running down a hall. Security is right in front of her now, close enough that she can see the lines around his eyes. He doesn't look angry. He doesn't look kind. He looks like a man doing a job. Ma'am, he says gently, let's step outside. Evelyn looks at him, then past him. She looks at the crowd, the faces, some curious, some bored, some uncomfortable. One young woman near the back meets her eyes and quickly looks away, like she's been caught staring at something she doesn't understand. Evelyn feels something shift inside her. A quiet decision, not loud. Not brave in a way that makes speeches. Just firm. Please, she says, her voice a little stronger now. Just 1 minute. The wealthy woman laughs. It's a short sound, sharp and bright. This is not a place. 4 stories, she says. Evelyn nods, like she expected that. Like she's heard it before. She reaches into her pocket, slow enough that no one can say she moved too fast. Her fingers close around the small, worn object. The room holds its breath. She doesn't pull it out yet. She just stands there, her hand in her pocket, her eyes lifted, her chin raised a little higher than before. The mop rests against her leg. The bucket sits at her feet. The chandeliers glow above her like distant stars. The wealthy woman waits, her arms still crossed, her confidence still intact. But there's something else there now. A flicker. A question she didn't mean to ask. Evelyn takes one more breath. Deep, steady, and in that moment, before anyone knows what she's about to reveal, before the room knows how much it's about to change, the silence stretches on, thin and tight, like a string pulled to its breaking point. Security moves closer, and with every step they take, their shadows stretch across the dance floor, like long fingers reaching for her. The wealthy woman turns away, already lifting her glass, already smiling at someone else, as if the moment is over, as if the cleaning lady has already been erased. In her world, things end when she decides they do. A small humiliation, a small problem, forgotten by tomorrow. But Evelyn doesn't move. I just need 1 minute, she says. Her voice is soft, almost too soft for a room this big, almost too soft for a room this proud. It barely reaches above the rustle of gowns and the low hum of whispers. For a second, it seems like no one hears her at all. Then a laugh breaks out near the back. A quick, sharp sound. Someone else joins in. Then another. Not loud, not cruel, just enough to remind her where she stands. This isn't a place for stories. A man mutters, leaning back in his chair. The wealthy woman spins around, her smile gone. You've had enough minutes? She snaps. Her words land like a slap. Clean, clear, final. Evelyn feels it in her chest. The sting, the heat, the urge to step back, to lower her head, to let the night swallow her whole. She looks at the floor again, at the shine she worked so hard to give it. Her reflection stares back, small and bent, framed by shoes that cost more than her weekly pay. But something inside her refuses to shrink. She lifts her eyes. This time, all the way. She looks at the crowd, at the faces lined up in front of her, like a wall. Suits and dresses and jewelry and calm, curious eyes. She looks at the wealthy woman, standing tall, arms crossed, waiting for the world to bend back into its place. I used to come here, Evelyn says. The words surprise even her. They come out steady, stronger than she expected. The room quiets, not because it wants to, but because it can't help it. There is something in her tone that makes people lean in without knowing why. I didn't come with a mop. She continues. I came with a dream. Someone near the front shifts in their seat. The laughter dies. A woman presses her lips together. The young waiter by the wall straightens, his eyes fixed on Evelyn like he's afraid to blink. The wealthy woman scoffs. Oh, please, she says, waving a hand. This is a trick. You want attention? Evelyn shakes her head slowly. I wanted a chance. The words hang there. Simple, heavy. She takes a small step forward, and the security guard hesitates. He looks back at the wealthy woman, waiting for a signal. None comes. She's watching now, her chin tilted, her eyes sharp. Evelyn's voice starts to paint pictures, even if she doesn't mean it to. She talks about the first time she walked into this ballroom years ago, when the lights felt too bright and her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She talks about the stage, about how her heart felt like it was going to burst out of her chest when she stood in front of a microphone for the first time. She talks about the way people clapped that night, not out of politeness, but because they felt something, because her voice touched something in them. A young woman in the crowd blinks fast, her eyes wet. She doesn't know why. She just knows. The story feels close to home. Evelyn keeps going. She talks about the promise she was given, about how someone with power told her she had a future, told her doors would open, about how she believed it, about how she waited for the call that never came. The wealthy woman shifts her weight. Just a little. Enough that someone watching closely would notice. This is sad, the wealthy woman says, but her voice isn't as sharp as before. It doesn't change anything. Evelyn nods. I know, she replies, but it's mine. The room feels smaller now. The walls closer. The air thicker. People stop whispering. Even the band members have turned around in their seats, instruments forgotten in their laps. Evelyn talks about the bills that stacked up, about the nights she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering where it all went wrong, about the day she put on a uniform instead of a dress, gloves instead of holding a microphone, about how she told herself it was only for a little while, just until things got better. The wealthy woman looks away, but not before a flicker of something crosses her face. Guilt, or maybe recognition. It's gone as fast as it came. This is not appropriate, she says. Louder now. This is a party. Evelyn almost smiles. It's not because it's funny. It's because it's true. It is a party. Music and lights and laughter. A world where pain is something that happens somewhere else, to someone else. I know, Evelyn says. I clean up after parties. A few people gasp softly. The young waiter bites his lip. The wealthy woman straightens. That's enough, she says. Band. The band leader looks at her. Then at Evelyn. He raises his hand, and the piano begins to play. A soft note, then another. The sound rolls through the room like a wave. Trying to wash the moment away, Evelyn stands still, the music wrapping around her, trying to push her back into silence. The wealthy woman's shoulders relax. This is how things go back to normal. This is how stories end. But the music stops. The band leader lowers his hands. He didn't mean to. It just happens. Like the room itself has decided it's not ready to move on. Evelyn reaches into her pocket. The movement is small, but it pulls every eye in the room. The crowd leans forward, chairs creaking, breaths held. The wealthy woman's eyes narrow again, her calm slipping just a little. Evelyn's fingers close around the object. She feels the worn edges, the smooth surface. She brings her hand out, slow, careful, like she's holding something fragile. A small glint of light flashes as the chandeliers glow. What is that? Someone whispers. The wealthy woman takes a step forward. Without meaning to, she stops herself, her face unreadable. Evelyn holds it close to her chest, not showing it yet. Her heart is pounding so hard she's sure everyone can hear it. The room feels like it's balanced on the edge of something. A truth, a reveal, a fall. I didn't come here to ruin your night, Evelyn says, her voice steady but thick. I came here because this place remembers me, even if you don't. The wealthy woman's jaw tightens. You don't belong here? She says, but the words don't carry the same weight anymore. Evelyn looks at her, really looks at her. Neither did I, she replies, until I did. The silence that follows is deep, heavy, full of questions no one wants to ask out loud. Evelyn lifts her hand a little higher. The small object still hidden in her palm, the light still glinting off its edge. The crowd leans in, hearts racing, minds spinning, waiting to see what she's about to show them. And in that breathless moment, with the music gone and the laughter faded and the power in the room shifting like sand underfoot, everyone knows that whatever comes next will change everything.
Evelyn's fingers tremble as she lifts the small, worn photograph from her pocket. The edges are frayed, the corners curl from years of being folded, carried, and forgotten. But the image is still clear enough to recognize the grand ballroom, the polished floors, the crystal chandeliers, the same walls now filled with opulence. And in the center of it all, a young woman stands, microphone in hand, shoulders squared, eyes shining with something the world hasn't yet tried to break. Evelyn's lips pressed together, a tight line of nerves and courage. She lifts the photograph higher, letting the chandelier's light catch it. A glint of memory, a spark of truth, catches the attention of everyone in the room. Gasps ripple through the crowd like a wave. Tentative at first, then growing as whispers spread. The photograph is hers. That young woman is her. She once belonged to this world, not as a cleaning lady, not as someone who serves, but as someone who commanded the room with a voice that promised more than anyone dared to dream. The wealthy woman freezes mid-step, her glass still raised. Recognition flickers in her eyes, rapid and almost imperceptible, like lightning across a dark sky. A memory catches her off guard, a half-forgotten promise, a name, a face. The room feels smaller now. The air is heavier. The crowd senses a shift, though no one yet knows what it means. Evelyn takes a breath, steadying herself, feeling the old nerves curl in her chest. The young girl she once was stands beside her in memory, reminding her that she deserves to be heard. Her voice is soft at first, trembling like the first note of a song no one else remembers. "I used to sing here," she says, letting the words drift into the quiet. The chandeliers above tremble with reflected light, casting patterns across faces and gowns. But for once, the sparkle of wealth does not blind anyone. Her story begins to unfold. Evelyn recounts the nights when she practiced in empty rooms, when her dreams felt just out of reach, yet impossible to abandon. She tells him of the promise made by someone who claimed power and influence, someone who said her talent would be her passport into the world. And then the silence, the letters that never came, the calls that never returned, the doors that slammed shut one by one. Her words grow sharper now, the sting of betrayal threading through each syllable. And then she drops the name that causes a room to still like frozen water. Her sponsor, the man who vanished just when her voice was ready to soar. The man whose wealth and influence made the world bend at his word. The name lingers in the air, unspoken yet understood. The wealthy woman's late husband. Gasps erupt, eyes widen. Some lean forward. Others take a half step back, instinctively aware that a shift has begun. Power, once static, begins a pivot. It tilts, a spotlight swinging, casting new angles across the faces in the room. The wealthy woman's hand clutches her glass. Color drains from her face. A thought rises from memory, jagged and unwanted. The contract she signed without reading, the letters she ignored, the whispers she brushed aside. She feels the weight of past decisions pressing down on her like a stone. Authority, once a shield, now feels brittle. The crowd feels the tension, a collective exhale held tight in anticipation. The band begins to play again, tentative at first, keys and strings brushing gently across the air, almost afraid to intrude on the moment. Evelyn steps forward, and this time her voice does not tremble. She opens her mouth, and the first note rises, raw and uncertain, trembling with emotion but refusing to break. Heads tilt, faces soften, tears threaten in the corners of eyes. The sound grows, fueled by years of silence and sorrow, by nights of forgotten dreams and unspoken anger. Every note carries the weight of her past, yet it rises with the promise of reclamation, echoing across the room, past the chandeliers, past the velvet curtains, into the hearts of those who listen. She doesn't look at the wealthy woman, yet the wealthy woman watches. The song cuts through the air like a blade made of light and memory, and the authority she clung to crumbles piece by piece. The walls, the doors, the glittering tables, they mean nothing now against a voice that remembers who it is. Some guests stand, instinctively, unable to sit while a soul is being reborn before their eyes. Some cry openly, covering their mouths as if embarrassed by the sudden honesty of emotion in a room accustomed to controlled appearances. Evelyn's body sways slightly, lost in the rhythm of her own song, her voice growing stronger, firmer, unrelenting. The music and the voice merge into something bigger than the room, bigger than the wealthy woman's ego, bigger than the judgments that try to bury her. The wealthy woman sinks back into her chair. Her pride feels heavy, heavier than her jewels, heavier than her gowns, heavier than the power she once wielded so effortlessly. Memories she never wanted to face rise unbidden. She remembers her husband's promises, her complacency, the doors left open that she didn't step through, the lives she brushed past as if they were invisible. The notes fill the room, and the wealthy woman is left with only herself, confronted by a past she had buried beneath comfort, wealth, and control. She watches as the cleaning lady, no, as the woman she once ignored, reclaims her stage. The authority she believed she had is gone, replaced by something fragile and human. Humility, recognition, awe. Evelyn's song swells. It carries laughter and heartbreak, joy and loss, hope and fury. It fills every corner of the room, and the chandeliers above seem to reflect something new. Not wealth, not power, but light in its rawest form. Guests wipe tears from their eyes. Some whisper apologies to one another, realizing how wrong they were to think of this as mere entertainment. The young waiter feels his chest tighten as he watches the transformation, as he sees the wealth that once intimidated him now powerless before dignity reclaimed. The wealthy woman exhales slowly, a sound she doesn't even know she's making. Her hands unclench. Her back straightens, but not in pride. In acknowledgement, she sees what she has overlooked for years. The power of talent, the force of truth, the dignity of a life that refuses to be silenced. Her eyes meet Evelyn's for a moment, and in that instant, no words are needed. Respect is transferred in silence. Recognition passes from a young woman in the photograph to the woman standing now, fully alive, fully present, fully herself. The song slows, softening at the edges, but the energy remains. The room is still, except for the occasional sniffle, the quiet shuffle of feet, the soft intake of breath. Evelyn lowers her hand from a microphone, the last note hanging in the air like smoke. The wealthy woman leans back, her chair creaking softly, the weight of understanding pressing down on her. She has been taught a lesson she cannot ignore, cannot undo. The power she relied upon feels trivial in comparison to the courage she has just witnessed. The room exhales together, quietly, as if afraid to disturb the fragile new order. Evelyn stands, chest heaving, eyes shining, finally at peace in a place that once rejected her. Her dignity, long denied, is restored. Her song lingers in the walls, in the chandeliers, in the hearts of everyone who listened. It is a reminder that power is not in wealth or authority, but in voice, courage, and truth. And as the echoes fade, the wealthy woman sits, humbled, aware that she has witnessed something she can never unsee. The room has changed. The story has shifted. A life once dismissed has reminded the world what it means to be human. In that moment, every guest understands, even without words, that dignity is not given. It is earned, remembered, and reclaimed. Evelyn smiles faintly, not at the wealthy woman, not at the crowd, but at herself. The stage is hers again, in every way that matters. The lesson is clear. Power without respect is empty, and justice, even delayed, carries the weight to change hearts. The final note hangs in the air, trembling just long enough for silence to feel heavy, alive, like a breath held too long. The chandeliers glitter, but their light no longer dazzles. It reflects a weight that the room cannot ignore. Every eye is fixed on Evelyn, standing center stage, her chest rising and falling with the echo of the song that has changed everything. The band members slowly lower their instruments, unsure if they should continue, unsure if anything can follow what has already been said, sung, revealed. The silence is no longer empty. It is honest. It is a quiet after truth has spoken. The wealthy woman rises from her chair, each movement deliberate, hesitant, as if she is learning to walk again in a body that no longer belongs to pride alone. Her eyes are wet, not with anger, not with power, not with control, but with something unfamiliar, regret. Every line on her face seems carved by years of ignoring what she couldn't see, years of letting influence blind her to lives she could have lifted instead of dismissed. Her gowns and jewels feel heavy tonight, not symbols of her command, but reminders of the walls she built around herself, walls now cracked and transparent. She takes a step forward, then another. The ballroom stretches under the weight of her presence, and the crowd holds its collective breath. No one moves, no one interrupts, because they sense that this is more than an apology. This is a reckoning. She reaches Evelyn, standing with a small smile and hands still shaking slightly from the music, from the truth she just delivered. The wealthy woman stops just a few feet away, her voice trembling despite her effort to sound strong. "I am sorry," she says. The words are simple, but they carry the weight of decades. Not just for tonight, but for the years I ignored you, dismissed you, and let my wealth and pride blind me to your worth. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Some cover their mouths. Some nod, understanding at once that wealth and status mean nothing against a human heart willing to admit its failures. Evelyn's lips tremble, and tears gather in her eyes, but she does not step back. This apology is not for her alone. It is for every hand that has ever been overlooked, every voice that has been silenced by arrogance and assumption. The wealthy woman's eyes meet hers fully now, stripped of pretense, stripped of superiority. "I want to make this right," she continues. "Not with money, not with gifts, with recognition, with respect. The stage is yours. Always has been. The crowd erupts, not in applause, but in a warm, rising relief that fills every corner of the ballroom. People shift in their seats, some standing, some leaning forward, their faces softened by the honesty of what they are witnessing. The walls themselves seem to breathe, as if the chandeliers, the curtains, even the polished marble have absorbed a lesson and exhale it back into the room. The weight of silence has been replaced by something lighter, something human. Evelyn wipes at her tears, finally allowed herself to smile fully. Her dignity, long withheld by circumstance and neglect, is restored. Her story, once hidden in shadows and whispered memories, has been heard, recognized, validated. The band begins again, softly at first, then more confidently, as if the instruments themselves understand the difference between noise and music, between power and grace. The melody lifts the room, brighter now, carrying joy alongside reverence. Guests sway slightly, caught in the rhythm not only of the song, but the moral shift unfolding before them. No longer is a ballroom merely a showcase of wealth. It is a place transformed by truth, by courage, by the reclamation of a life that was almost forgotten. The wealthy woman watches, seated now at the edge of her former authority, her posture changed, her gaze softened. She realizes something she never thought she would. That power alone can build walls or inflict pain, but it cannot create respect. Respect must be earned, given, recognized. She sees in Evelyn the strength, the voice, the quiet certainty of someone who has lived in justice and emerged whole. And in that understanding, she herself begins to change. Not instantly, not perfectly, but a crack of humility has opened in her armor, letting light in. Guests begin to leave slowly, talking in hushed tones. They do not leave with just memories of a grand evening. They carry a lesson, a truth that lingers longer than music or jewels. They carry the understanding that wealth and privilege are meaningless when measured against dignity and humanity. They carry the story of a woman who stood up, who spoke, who sang, and reminded the world that no amount of status can silence courage. Evelyn steps back from the stage, the photograph she held now tucked safely into her pocket. She breathes in the light of the chandeliers, the warmth of the applause that isn't about admiration but about recognition. And for the first time in years, she feels fully seen. Every scar, every struggle, every quiet moment of despair has led to this, a room transformed by acknowledgement, a life reclaimed by voice, a world reminded that justice can arrive in whispers, in song, in the courage to stand. The wealthy woman rises slowly, not command, but to witness. She reaches for Evelyn's hand briefly, an unspoken gesture of reconciliation, of understanding, of humility. The crowd notices. There is a collective sigh, soft and long, as if the air itself has been cleared. No one claps immediately. The applause, if it comes, will be sincere, earned by truth, not by spectacle. Music flows once more, lifting the night into something richer than it was before. The guests linger, not out of obligation, but out of respect for what they have seen. Some wipe tears. Some nod quietly, silently promising to carry this lesson forward. Some whisper to one another, sharing the gravity of what they have witnessed, recognizing the difference between power that commands and power that destroys, between wealth that blinds and respect that illuminates. Evelyn looks around the room one last time. She sees faces softened, eyes brightened by realization, hearts moved by honesty. She steps down from the stage, not to retreat, but to walk among them, to remind them that dignity is never only for the wealthy, only for the powerful, only for those who sit in chairs that gleam. It is for every person brave enough to stand, speak, and be seen. And in that walk, she carries not just her own story, but every story that has been hidden in shadows. The wealthy woman watches her leave, her hands folded, her eyes reflecting a mixture of awe and shame. She understands now that power is fragile, that control is fleeting, that wealth is nothing without conscience. She sees in Evelyn not a servant, not a memory, but a human being whose courage has rewritten the room, whose voice has restored balance, whose presence has humbled her. As the guests file out into the night, the music trailing behind them like a soft echo of lessons learned, they carry with them more than memories of a glamorous evening. They carry a truth they cannot unhear. Respect is not bought. It is not given because of status. It is earned through recognition of humanity, through the courage to see another person for who they truly are. And as the doors close behind the last guest, the chandeliers shimmer, the walls hum faintly, and the room itself seems to sigh, as if aware that it has witnessed something eternal. Evelyn steps outside into the cool night, her face wet from tears, her chest lifted with relief and pride. She knows the stage will always be hers now, not because of wealth or permission, but because of truth, because she dared to stand, to reveal, to sing. Behind her, the ballroom glows warmly, a place forever transformed. And behind it, the wealthy woman watches quietly from a window, carrying a lesson she will not soon forget. That true power builds, honors, and uplifts, but without respect for others, it destroys even those who believe they hold it. In that quiet, golden night, a single truth resonates. Dignity cannot be bought. Respect cannot be demanded. Humanity must be recognized, nurtured, and honored. And anyone who dares to stand, to speak, to sing, reminds the world that even in halls of wealth, even under chandeliers of gold, the heart holds the ultimate authority.